Hello fellow Silversaints, welcome to a new video. My name is Ashley and welcome to the Library of a Silversaint where we talk all things books. I hope you're doing well today. Hi, I'm back. It's been a little while, it's been a couple of weeks. I do apologise for not posting a video. I was away twice. I went to the Peak District, went hiking, really lovely. And then I took a little trip to Corfu on a retreat with my mum, which was absolutely wonderful. We had such a lovely time, but it just meant that I didn't have any time to film a video last week. So I do apologise for that, but I am back today. Chaotic as usual. Guys, go and get yourself a beverage. We are back with the biscuit tea. We're back in, it's not the caramelised one yet. I haven't been able to see that in a shop yet, but we're back. Biscuit tea, sip, sip. What does it say? This is, oh yeah, do you know what? It's apt. It's Friday morning when I'm recording. You got this. You got this. We've got this. Biscuit tea. Make sure you sip, sip. Go get yourself a beverage. Go and get yourself a snack. I just had a little date with some almond butter in it. Oh, it's like the nectar of the gods. Oh, that's still really warm. I'm back. Welcome to a new video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about rereading. A little bit different to a normal, but I thought I wanted to talk to you about rereading books, why I reread books, why I find it important to reread books, and some of the books that I either have reread or plan on rereading in the future. I am someone that has always been able to rewatch things over and over again. When I was younger, I would say to my mum that I would need her help, like with a video, with a VHS to rewind it back, because she would say you would finish a film and then you would just want to go straight back to the beginning and watch it again. And that has not quite stuck with me, but I am able to still rewatch the same films over and over again. I binge rewatch Lord of the Rings at least twice a year. Certain films like Good Will Hunting, Forrest Gump, things like that, The Breakfast Club. They're all films that are Star Wars. I can just rewatch over and over and over again because I just love them. Also series on TV, comfort series, Big Bang Theory. If you're a person that lives in the UK, things like Miranda or The Vicar of Dibley or Red Dwarf are all like comfort series for me, and things that I can just rewatch over and over and over again. And I've always really found that. And I was thinking about this recently because I feel like with the bookish community, which is the best community, can I say? It's the best community. But I don't have Book Talk, but I get sort of similar content from being on Bookstagram and BookTube and things like that. I feel like there can feel like this pressure to continuously progress with your TBR, continuously read brand new books. There are hundreds of thousands of releases coming out all the time, which is amazing. It's so good. And sometimes I can find that quite overwhelming, and I can feel this pressure that I'm completely putting on myself to constantly be reading new books and conquering my TBR pile and reading as many new authors as I possibly can. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good to want to branch out and read new books and new authors and new genres that you've never tried before. And I will always do that. I have a huge TBR cart right next to me of tens of books that I've not read yet, by authors I've not read yet as well. I will always continue to do that. But recently, I have gone through not a really stressful period, but a little period of my life where things have been quite busy and lots has been going on. And I've been really feeling that need for just comfort. And sometimes that doesn't come from reading a new book and discovering a new author. Sometimes for me, that comfort comes from revisiting a book or a world somewhere that I have visited before, even if I've visited many times in the past, but it just brings such a level of comfort for me. And so I really wanted to talk about that a bit more today. I think there are many reasons why people may choose to reread books. I think there are also some people who think, no, why would I read the same book again? I already know what happens. I know exactly the words that they're going to use. And people would probably think it for series and films as well. You know, I've seen it. I know what happens. Why would I want to put myself through that again? Oh, the heating's just come on. I can hear the boiler. But I think there are so many reasons for me personally as to why I really like to reread and rewatch things. You know, reading for me is not a sport. It's a hobby, but it's for enjoyment. It's for the love of words. It's for the love of a story. It's to meet characters. It's to visit faraway lands, or to visit places that actually are really quite reminiscent and scarily close to what you're experiencing yourself. For me, I read for many reasons: to be shocked, to be surprised, to feel love, to feel fear sometimes, to question things. but most importantly, to relax, to meet new characters, to see these far-off lands, and to escape reality for a while. You know, you can go on a quest, you can laugh, you can cry, you can really feel those feelings. And in some cases, it's a way to challenge myself or learn something new or just start asking new questions. One reason I like to reread books is just to get a deeper insight into a book that I've already experienced, whether that was a few months ago or a few years ago. I feel like sometimes when I revisit a book, I definitely am able to discover things that I missed or completely just went over my head the first time I read them. And I feel like I gain a much better appreciation for actually what the author was crafting at the time and what they meant when they made certain choices that maybe I didn't notice the first time round. I've been feeling this particularly with my current reread that I've been doing. So my friend Leanne, amongst Chaos She Reads, my fellow Glockter girly, and I have been just rereading a book that we only read a couple of months ago, and that is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, book 1 in the First Law trilogy. We are actually going to be rereading the whole trilogy, but we've just finished reading The Blade Itself. Can I just take a moment to just say thank you to Leanne? Bless her. She, the kindest person, my goodness. Leanne and her partner Luke recently went on a book tour. Joe was doing a book tour and they were able to go. Unfortunately, I couldn't because of work, but you know, it happens. But Leanne, bless her, because we were rereading, she so kindly purchased the hardback of The Blade Itself for me and took it with her to the signing with Joe. And I can't believe it. She got it signed to me. I cried. I squealed. She sent me a photo and I just squealed. I didn't know what to say. Bookish people are the best people. That's all I'm saying. Leanne, thank you so much for this. This is the kindest thing. But we've been rereading this together. We've been using Fable to do it, to sort of like keep track of the chapters and everything. And we have been sort of going through and highlighting and tabbing. We've been doing sort of it based on characters. And I honestly, there you can see all the characters there. I've been having the best time, just the best time. Because I read this the first time with my eyeballs and then I've gone back and re-listened to it on audio because the audio by Stephen Pacey is chef's kiss. This has been one of the best experiences of my life. Look at those tabs. There are so many. I felt like going back, I've gained so much more from going back, from diving back in. And there's so many things that I missed that I hadn't noticed before. The foreshadowing and not necessarily that, but just the layers and the sort of foundations that Joe has put in that then you think, oh my gosh, I didn't even realise that now I've read books 2 and 3. I went back and thought, oh my gosh, that was hinted at way before and I didn't even notice it and things like that. And it's just incredible. So I feel like I've gained a much better understanding of the concept of the book, of the characters themselves, but also what Joe was doing and what he achieved. And it's just been the best experience, just the best experience. So I feel like, it's quite a difficult one to understand in some ways, but it's also very simple. There are a lot of layers to this and I feel like I understand them a lot more now. Leanne, thank you again so much for this, but also thank you for rereading with me and I can't wait to reread before they are hanged very soon. I'm so excited. Another reason is just enhanced enjoyment and just comfort. For me, rereading or rewatching a film, it brings a sense of nostalgia. It can be something like it's a story that you read when you were a child or had read to you when you were a child, or it can be something you read when you were a teenager. And because you know the story, you know the characters, you know what's going to happen, it kind of takes that pressure off of the unknown and it can really feel like a sense of comfort. I don't think you have to read this at sort of difficult times, but sometimes for me, I will reread or rewatch a comfort film or reread a book that's comforting to me and very nostalgic to me if I'm a little bit stressed or a little bit overwhelmed, or if I'm going through something a little bit tricky, if work's really hard or something like that. Sometimes I think, do you know what? I don't have the capacity right now to take on something new. I kind of just want to dive back into that world of comfort. And that, again, is a huge reason why I might reread a book. I think even though it's not always down to like a stressful scenario, I sometimes think that if you are a little bit stressed or overwhelmed in your personal life, sometimes that can bring a sense of comfort. It's like an emotional blanket. It's like the book just wraps itself around you and holds you, and it feels so wonderful. I think also it can also apply to certain times of the year. So for some people, it may be certain times of the year. There may be a romance that's set in summer that you just think every summer, I want to pick that up. It may be a book around Christmas time. I know that my friend Abby, Books and Three Cats, why do I always say your Instagram handle immediately after you? I think it's because there's two Abbys. Abby, Books and Three Cats, Abby, rereads Little Women every year. And it brings that sort of sense of comfort. I don't know if, Abby, if you read it at a certain time of the year or just whenever you feel like it, but I know that some people might reread it at Christmas, or, you know, some people might reread Dracula every, you know, Halloween time or something like that. So again, I think the sort of time of year, for me, it's The Hobbit. I'm planning to reread it this year, but I think The Hobbit will always be like an autumny winter kind of reread for me, because it just brings that comfort at that time of year. And finally, there are so many other reasons, but the final reason I'm going to talk about is sort of self-reflection and growth. As I get older, I feel that when I revisit a story or a book, even if it's non-fiction, my age difference and experiences that I've gone through in life kind of give me a new perspective on it. It helps me see the story in a way that I might not have seen it before. And I think in a way it helps me gain an appreciation for it. And I think a story can give you something at different times of your life. It can give you something when you're a child or an adolescent or an adult. You know, if you've gone through different stages of your life, maybe you've, you know, got married, maybe you've got a new job, maybe you've moved, maybe you live somewhere completely different, maybe your family dynamics have changed, maybe you've got children or something now. Rereading it when something has changed, may give you a huge appreciation for a different part of the story that didn't apply to you back then because it wasn't relevant. For example, I know that a lot of people talk about The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong. Apparently it's a huge discussion on motherhood. I can imagine if you read it as someone, so like me at the moment, who currently doesn't have children, those sort of motherhood aspects may not hit you as hard as they would hit someone if they were a mum, and vice versa. So it's that sort of thing. And I think that's another reason that it's just so important for me to reread, because you can gain different insights and different opinions and different thoughts. And you might start asking new questions about it and you might consider what the author meant and what they had intended. And I think that's really interesting. It's like a little deep dive. Those are sort of my reasons as to why I like to reread books. I've been doing it quite a lot of this month. So I reread the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I love. I only read them last year, but I love. And obviously I've been rereading The Blade itself, the first Law trilogy, only after finishing it last month. So I'm immediately rereading it. And I just noticed when I was looking back, I was sort of looking through my books. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm rereading quite a lot at the moment. And I've got plans to reread other books. I've got plans to reread lots of other books. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I think one thing I definitely want to do is I actually want to actively make more time for rereads. Ernie, he's whining. He's just had his breakfast. He shouldn't be. I want to actively plan and make time for rereads. I'm not going to force myself to reread. If I don't fancy picking it up, I'm not going to make myself sit with it just because I said I did. But sometimes I just felt that need, like for example, with Illuminae, I just felt the need. I just thought, no, I'm going to go back into this. I loved it. I want to make time for that because I want to take the pressure off myself in terms of just reading for the sake of reading and trying to read as much as I physically can. Time is short and, you know, life is short, and I know that sounds deep. It's a bit deep for a Friday, but you know, actually reading is that deep, but it's also not that deep. For me, I have to read for enjoyment. I get very little time to do it. So, oh gosh, I didn't words that very well, did I? I have very little time to read. So I want to make the most of the chance that I do get to read and read what I really want to. And if that means that it's a reread and I'm not reading a new author or a new book, then that's okay and that's fine, because reading's not a sport. So yeah, but I'm just now wanted to just quickly talk to you about some of the books that I plan on rereading in the future. One of the series that I will absolutely be rereading in the future is The Faithful and the Fallen saga by John Gwynne, starting with Malice. Then you've got Valor, Ruin and Wrath. I've spoken endlessly about this series. It is a huge comfort to me. This feels like coming home. And I've only read it once, but it feels like coming home. This will be a comfort reread for me. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that because it was emotionally devastating, but it is a comfort read for me. And I will be going back into this in times of, well, whatever, to be honest, times of happiness, times of sadness. It doesn't matter. I will be going back into this world because I love it and I love the characters, and it means so much to me. So this is definitely a series that I will be rereading. Another series that I will be rereading, or another book, and I've already mentioned it, is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read this when I was a teenager, and I will definitely be rereading it again. I plan on rereading it this year. Doing a buddy read with Imi, Abby and Abby. Really looking forward to it. And then we're hoping to buddy read Lord of the Rings trilogy as well, starting with The Fellowship of the Ring, which I'm really looking forward to. Can't wait to do a deep dive of this. But yeah, again, it's such a familiar story. You know, this is the foundation of modern fantasy. He's unmatched. J.R.R. Tolkien is unmatched. This world, these characters, the story, the found family, the dwarves, Gandalf, the whole thing is so nostalgic for me and such a comfort. And the thought of this just makes me feel like I'm wrapped up in a blanket next to a fire with a hot chocolate and like some toast. And I'm just so comfortable. So I will be rereading The Hobbit. I've already mentioned this one as well, but I will be rereading. I am currently rereading the first Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, and I can see myself rereading this again in the future. You know, I've got the audiobooks now, I've got my beautiful tabbed copy. I will be rereading it again in the future. This isn't going to be a series that is just like, oh, I've reread it once, I won't do it again. I'll definitely be going back in. Another series that I will be rereading at some point is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, starting with Eragon. I read this as a teenager, and this was a huge introduction for me to fantasy, to epic fantasy. You know, this is where it started for me, and I adore this book. And I'm really intrigued to see how it will feel going back into it as an adult now. You know, as someone who's approaching 30, mentally 90, but approaching 30 physically. It'll be interesting to see how this reads now. So yeah, this is a series again that I would like to reread at some point. Another one that I would like to reread at some point, I don't have a copy with me, but it is his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. So Northern Lights, and the rest. I reread again those as a sort of teenager, and I absolutely adored those books, and I could reread those again and again and again, so they're also on my list. I promise you, I'm not doing this to annoy anybody, but I also can't go a video without mentioning it. But of course, I will be rereading Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. Again, emotionally devastating and traumatizing, but an absolute comfort for me. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the writing, I love it all. I love it. I'm going to be rereading this year. I'm going to be rereading it in preparation for Empire of the Dawn being released in November, but this isn't going to be I'll just reread it once and then, that'll be it. No. In years to come, this will always be being reread by me. Always. To be honest, I'm going to be bold and say that I could say the same for any Jay Kristoff book, really. The Illuminae Files by him and Amy Kaufman, I've just reread them. I will be rereading those many times in the future. That is absolutely not going to change. I will also probably reread Nevernight at some point as well. All of them. Also have to do a little quick shout out for Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This absolutely blew my mind, and I need to experience this again. If you haven't read this book, please do. It's amazing, but this is, again, a book that I will 100% be rereading because I think I will gain so much more from it on a reread. This was perfection. Beautiful. Absolutely going to be rereading. The final book I'm going to talk about today, because I need to stop talking, is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman. Completely different to any of my other books on the list, but this broke my heart into a million tiny pieces. And we all know that I love to have my heart stomped on. Emotional damage is my favourite thing. I choose it. It's what makes a good book for me. And this absolutely shattered my heart, but it also made me smile so much. And it reminded me of my granddad. My granddad was a very grumpy man, but a very good man. It reminded me of him, but it just hit me so hard. And I think rereading this will be a really lovely experience as well. Those are all of the books that I plan on rereading, plus many others, but they are just some of the books that I wanted to talk to you about today. I know that this was a bit of a different video, but it's something that I really wanted to talk about, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts as well. So please let me know down below in the comments if you are a rereader, if you're a rewatcher of series and movies, but yeah, if you reread books, please tell me, why do you reread and what is the best thing that you gain from it, in your opinion? And also, please let me know some of the books that you plan on rereading in the future. If you like this video, please do give it a like. And if you want to become a firm member of the Library of a Silver Saint, it's all fun and chaos here, then please hit the subscribe button. I would so appreciate it, and I would just love to have you here with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!